The Philadelphia 76ers are going to disappoint a lot of people this season. I'm calling it now. They're fraudulent. I'm so sorry, Philly. First off, why do you guys celebrate a statue of Rocky Balboa? He's not a real person. That's weird. I like the movies, but that's weird. Now look, the team's just not going to do well. You're not winning any sort of championship this season. And honestly, you're probably going to go home a round or two earlier than you should. And there's a couple reasons. Let's start with the biggest one, James Harden. James Harden to me is the most fraudulent basketball player I've ever seen. He's somebody that whatever team he plays on, his stats are going to be great. James Harden, the first player with the Houston Rockets to ever get 27 points and 9 assists, 8 boards on a Tuesday afternoon. You know, like he's really good at those weird stats. Anything sort of a triple-double, he's amazing at that. I give the man credit. He's a great ISO scorer when it doesn't matter. Obviously, he's a great passer when it doesn't matter. The defense never really been his thing. When it comes to a lot of things in basketball, James Harden is truly the best at that when it doesn't matter. But there's a few things that he is horrible at that when it comes to how to win a championship, I just don't think he's your guy. Now look, Philly fans, if you think that all these James Harden meltdowns aren't gonna continue, I don't know what to tell you. You people are living in an alternate universe. But we can go down the list, people. The meltdown against the Spurs, he's dribbling the ball off his foot. Would he have like 15 turnovers? Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, those meltdowns. There's plenty of games that people don't even bring up where he was terrible. Like, let's take the first year with Chris Paul and James Harden, right? Against the Utah Jazz. I think that was the second round. I remember that game because Chris Paul was hooping. Go back and look at the tape. But even that game, a game they win, he was 3 of 12 from the field, and he had 5 turnovers. And this has always been my thing with James Harden. The first 44 minutes of a game, the man is excellent. But those last couple of minutes, I don't know if he just gets tired or if he's mentally weak. That would be my bet, but I don't know the man. He's just terrible over and over and over again. You hear the Draymond Greens of the world talk about things like you can just tire him out. You know, he dribbles the ball 50 times every possession, and believe it or not, eventually that's going to wear on a guy. I think that's why guys like Kobe and others say that's just not how you can win. Nobody wants to play with the dude who's just at the top of the key dribbling the ball for 50 minutes and then will pass it to you once he gets double teamed. Like, that shit is not fun. Even if it's just a swing pass, like being a part of a play makes you feel better. You just run down the floor harder. You have more confidence the next time you touch the ball. It's just like there is an energy to the ball. I really do believe that. And James Harden isn't that type of player. He's a very ball dominant guy. He's a great passer when it doesn't matter, but ball movement isn't really his thing. So if you're not going to move the ball around so everybody's getting involved, I think the only way to combat that is low turnovers. That's why, like, the Warriors, they're great because they move the ball around, but because of that, they turn the ball over a lot. But James Harden is the worst of both because he turns the ball over a lot and he holds that shit. Another thing with Harden that I can't stand is that his offense is so dependent on getting fouls. He was the first guy I ever saw grabbing people's arms and making it look like he's fouling you. Like, if you did anything like that at the park, people would actually fuck you up, and they would have every single right to do it. Now, do I condone violence? No, but I would be willing to look the other way if something like that happened at the park because that's unacceptable behavior, and you're welcome. If you're youth, don't follow James Harden's lead because he's in the NBA. You're not, and those are the type of things that are going to get you beat up. And you're welcome for that knowledge. That's free of charge. So if your offense is predicated on getting fouls, step back threes, which he's not a very efficient shooter. I mean, in the playoffs, he shoots in the low 30s from the three and low 40s from the field. So it's like, is this the greatest offensive player ever, Daryl Morey? In the regular season, still no, but you have a way better argument. But when I've seen this man choke over and over and over and over and over again, I don't know how you can say that. I don't get it. Is he giving you part of his check? Are you like his PR guy? Are you distant relatives? Like, I don't understand where this weird infatuation with James Harden comes from, Daryl Morey. Look, I'm just gonna put the numbers on the screen. The man plays worse every single last game of his series. He is worse. He starts off great and ends out terrible. Now, that could be because his offense is too predictable, he just gets tired over the course of his series, or he's mentally weak. Whatever it is, the result is always the same, so who cares? He's garbage in my eyes. Again, when it matters. If it is a game against the Utah Jazz on a Monday morning, he's gonna ball out 60-point triple-doubles all day. But when things get tight, this man is dribbling the ball off of his foot like he's in kindergarten. Number 2, Doc Rivers. As you probably already know, Doc Rivers has lost more 3-1 leads than any coach in the history of the league. Not a great stat to have, but hey, you're on the boards and we appreciate that. But I gotta be honest, every time I watch a Doc Rivers team, except for that like one Clippers team right after Chris Paul got traded, they're always underperforming. You could think of the Paul George team where this man's hitting the side of the backboard. Now, is that Doc's fault? I guess not. You know, he didn't take over his body like a ghost and make him miss, but we always see your teams and they always underperform. Let's talk about the Chris Paul teams. They can never get over the hump. And now we hear like Matt Barnes and Draymond Green say that Clippers team was mentally weak. We knew that if we did this, if we could make them uncomfortable, they would fold. I think that's the coach's fault. We all knew that Chris Paul and Blake Griffin didn't really like each other. They were fighting who was the main guy. Their egos kind of got in the way and it affected everybody else in the team. Team didn't know who the leaders were. They got confused on things. And again, I think that's the coach's fault. Like if I'm the leader of a team and I know that my 2 best players can't get out of their own way, shouldn't I sit them down and fix it? Like what are you getting paid all this money for? To put your son on the team and fuck it up even more? It's like, what are you doing? The team never even got to a Western Conference Finals and you had 3 All-Stars on one team. Like, you failed. And then we see right after Doc gets fired, which he should have been, Tyronn Lue takes over and he did a way better job. I think Doc Rivers is just like an average coach, maybe even slightly below. He doesn't really seem to be somebody that makes adjustments. We saw with the Ben Simmons thing, it's like, hey, he's missing free throws, so take him out the game. He just always seems to be like a step behind everybody else. You see Steve Kerr, like the Clippers were the team, and then Steve Kerr comes in and just changes things. Doc is always just a little bit behind everybody else. But you know what? That's not good enough. Especially when you have James Harden on your team who's already probably gonna fuck something up. Not gonna cut it. This is not 2008. You're gonna need to switch things up just a little bit. Number 3 for me is continuity. I just don't see, especially James Harden, coming into a team halfway through the season, new team, new system, and just expecting to win a championship first year. I just never see that happening. But come on, what about the Raptors? Kawhi did it. First off, Kawhi is better than Harden at basically everything except for passing. And 2, come on, Josh. You know that they would have lost to the Warriors. It was Steph Curry and Draymond by themselves, and it still went 6. So don't talk to me about the Raptors. Fraudulent ring. I'm so sorry. You got to play who's in front of you. And I like Canada. You guys seem very nice. But let's be real. 99 times out of 100, the Raptors are losing that series. They got some breaks. You know, even last season's playoffs show you that a series can really come down to 1 or 2 plays. And I think that it takes a while to get comfortable with guys. You got to learn where people are going to be at. You have to learn guys' tendencies. You even have to learn how to talk to some people. That can affect how a team plays together, you know? So being somebody who's passive aggressive, chokes all the time, can't play defense. So it's like, if he can't figure it out with this system he's been playing with for years, how is he supposed to figure it out and not dribble the ball off of his foot for a team he's been with for a couple months? You know what I mean? I just don't see that happening. And speaking of continuity, the way they execute late, not good. I watched that Raptors game and it's just like, what is this team going to do in the last 2 minutes? Because you can either wait for Harden to fuck up, which I feel like is inevitable, or you can double him, get the ball out of his hands, he'll kick it to Embiid, he's shooting fadeaway jump shots like he's Dirk, or he could kick out to a Maxey, but do you really want to depend on a second-year guy to win you a championship? Tobias is so off and on because James Harden's dribbling the ball 57 times a play and nobody else can get into a rhythm. It's not like Tobias is just a spot-up shooter. So it's like, who do you go to? Exactly. That's why I'm like, nah, this team ain't winning nothing. Because it takes time for those things to figure out. So between James Harden's inevitable choking, Doc Rivers' subpar coaching, and them not even really being used to each other, I'm so sorry, Philly. I would suggest you guys just don't watch the playoffs. Put on some Rocky movies, because at least we know most of those have good endings and you can feel better about yourself. Run up some stairs, do the whole jogging thing, you know, and take it easy, because James Harden is going to inevitably disappoint you, but just know that when things don't go well, he will blame you, he will blame Embiid, he will get fat, and he will go to another team. So at least he's not your problem forever like he was for Houston, and you guys can move on because Joel Embiid is great. Doc will be fired this year probably, and you can get some other players around him. But this year is probs a wash, so sorry. But that's gonna do it for this video. That's enough of me trashing people who have a million times more money than I do. I do want to shout out everybody in the membership. For those of you who are asking me why I don't go over the highlights anymore, I do. They're just in the members only section because YouTube kept taking my videos down. So if you want to show some support to the cult, that is how you can do it. But that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.